Quite. Well, we're joined by Daniel Kliman, a fellow at the German Marshall Fund. How tense are things then behind the scenes?
I think quite tense, especially on economic issues. In this election year, there was great concern on the part of the Obama administration to be seen as strong on China, whether it's the currency issue, intellectual property, or other trade and investment issues. So behind there's sort of a feel-good atmosphere, but I think you'd see behind the scenes a great deal of pushing.
But you do wonder about some of those issues. The currency issue, for example, as far as we can tell, US corporations who frankly bankroll the political system here are quite happy with a devalued yuan, spending very little for mass labor in China, being subsidized by the Chinese government. Wall Street's quite happy when these corporations are happy. Is the US really that concerned about this issue? I mean, corporations don't necessarily want US jobs, after all.
We have to separate corporations from government, and if you're running for re-election in this economy, which is still recovering but slowly, you want to push jobs. And there's certainly a perception on the part of the US public that there is a relationship between China's currency practices and a weak employment market here.
And there probably is a link, but is the government and the US political establishment really serious about doing anything about that?
They are. The challenge, though, is that the US has only limited leverage on China when it comes to these issues. The Chinese are also very concerned that abrupt revaluation of the yuan would destabilize their own economy. So it's an uphill battle.
What effect would that have on the US economy then, do you think?
I think it's hard to tell. I mean, I think that you would see some rising prices here, but also potentially greater exports. This is also a global issue, and I think it's important to note that many other countries, not just the United States, are concerned about China's currency practices because it hurts their economies as well.
President Obama talking a great deal about a Pacific pivot. How's that being viewed by China, do you think? Where is all this going, do you think?
There's a lot of concern in China about what this Pacific pivot means. If you see it from Beijing, it looks a bit like encirclement. From a U.S. perspective, it's really reaffirming our role in Asia, building up ties with many countries in Asia. It's not to contain China, but there's a lot of concern if you talk to people in Beijing.
I assume Xi Jinping probably didn't give much of an idea of what's to come in the future, but who is he? Some people call him a potential, Gorbachev. Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore said he was a Nelson Mandela figure. I mean, who is this man?
I think we shouldn't hold out hopes that there's always the possibility of change. Looking at his background, very traditional Communist Party family from the Communist Party, I wouldn't anticipate any abrupt changes, certainly as he consolidates power in his first year or so in office.
Daniel Kliman, thank you very much.
Thank you.